People just joining. Okay, we'll get going. So welcome to today's Utility Network, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Malinder, so Senior Product Lead for Transport and Utilities. Myself and the rest of the team will be taking you through presentation today in the Q&A session. I'll hand over to Mike to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, Mike Nightingale. I'm the Industry Manager for Transport and Utilities. I'll pass you over to Jason.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Jason Helm, the Technical Advisor for Construction and the Built Environment. And I'll now hand you over to Rishenda.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I am the Product Manager, which means that I look after all the qualifications within this portfolio, making sure that it's up to date, it's meeting our provider and customer needs, and it's aligning with any industry standards that are around. So thank you.
Thanks, Rishenda. So we've got everybody's contact details on the slides, which we'll be following up with. We've also got the direct sales team's contact details on the slides there, if anybody is interested in any other products or services we talk about today. So first, one of the updates is around Streetworks. So this was presented last time at the last network, actually, that the latest documentation centre compliance document went live in December 2024. This is just a bit of a refresher and a follow-on from last network. We had some feedback on a couple of Streetworks questions at the last networks. That was taken back to the Hawk group, who managed the questions along with other awarding organisations, because it's a standardised question bank, which we all use. They've now been amended and updated. So that's just a bit of an update from the last meeting. As well, on Streetworks, we had an issue with regards to a breach of assessment material. So basically an assessment pack got made available in the public domain, which is not great. So we had to withdraw version B of the 6160-09. Just letting the last few people in. So for those who've just joined, we've just gone through a little bit of an update on the question bank from the last meeting. Issues were raised on questions. They've been followed up and addressed and updated in the bank. And we were just discussing a breach of assessment on version B of the 6160-09. So as of Friday, the 11th of April, nobody should be using that version B. You should be using A and C until we get that version B updated. So just a reminder really about security of assessment paperwork, really. If you could all be vigilant with that, it might just avoid anything like that happening in the future. Obviously, it causes us and centres and quality guys a lot of headache, rewriting assessment material, getting our heads around a new assessment material for those who are delivering it as well. So that's Streetworks. So those alerts go out on an email update. So when you get the slides through, there's a QR code as well as a link on this slide, and you can register for email updates if you're not already. You can also update your preferences on the email updates. So it allows you to tick the relevant suite of qualifications you want updates on. So it might be good just to refresh your preferences if you're already registered. This is how we communicate any assessment changes, qualification changes, launches, webinars, things like that. So really valuable to be signed up to those alerts. So I'm going to pass over to Rishenda, who's going to look at the update for winter services.
Hello. So in terms of this qualification, this is now in phase 1 of being developed. So what we are doing is we've been asked to, by industry and the Winter Services Research Group, to have a look at this and look at it. They're saying it's time for an update. And what we've done, we've had some initial scoping meetings, and I've also met with a subject matter expert. And what we've seen within the qualifications is that we can streamline the structure and the content to make it easy to navigate. There was also a request that in order to improve the qualification, we need to be looking at the expected behaviours of a competent operator. So these are obviously people already working in the sector, but it was more things about, you know, making sure that they're more autonomous within the thinking, dependent on the range of scenarios they might be faced with on, you know, in a variety of situations. There was also an ask that we consider other things like the differences between geographical areas. So even though we've got national highways, it's about, you know, the places where an operator might be working in the south might vary very differently from that of somebody who's working further north, and wanting to look at things like the electrification of some of the vehicles that are coming into play. So we've seen this as a really good opportunity to get this shaped up. We're hoping to have it out for autumn, which should be a good time for providers to support their operatives to get ready for the new season. I am looking for further support. If anybody has got an interest in helping develop that, there's a range of roles, and Michael will speak to you about that later on. Please do pop your name in the chat and I will be able to get hold of you and we can take the conversation further. So any questions about this build, it's really early on and it's really good to get your views if that's you feel strongly enough to do so. So another major development that's in the throes is the gas network operative. So again, a really popular qualification here, but we want to make sure that it's absolutely up to date and aligned with the new occupational standards. It is a big build, this. It's much bigger than the winter services, so it takes sometimes there's 4 qualifications in it, and I will just give you a small insight to what we're planning with that. So it's looking as though it's going to be May, and even though we're looking at streamlining, there was a lot of duplication when we got our associates together. They felt there was a lot of duplication. We could streamline again some of the content with that, but we wanted to be very mindful of the type of operative and the type of job that they may, you know, be in the sector doing, and then providing a range of optional units so that they can, maybe if they changed councils or jobs or gain different responsibilities, that they'd have the scope into moving into those jobs, because they will be able to pick up that additional skills and knowledge assessment. So as again, we have an opportunity. Anybody who is wishing to help support that build, please do. As I said, there's a range of roles to help within that. So just give you an overview. So we're looking at splitting it into the 4 main qualifications, which is the service layer, escape, locate and repair, and then we have the main layer, and then the main layer, escape, locate and repair. And then Rob, if you can just move on. Thank you. So we have within there, we've looked at the assessment methods. Now, again, all this is, it's all in the development, so things may change. But in essence, for the core, the health and safety units will remain being assessed by multiple choice questions, and we're hoping we're going to get that on to an online portal. And that makes it more robust. It makes the assessment more robust. And then the remainder of those qualifications will be by portfolio, pretty much as they are now, because we've tried and tested it, and it is the right thing to do for this sector. And then you'll see what we've got is we've got a range of units, the electives, and as we said, these are bolt-ons. These are if somebody moves with different responsibilities, wants to enhance their career. They're there and they'll be available for them. So yeah, anything that you want to say, oh, have you got this? I'd like to know if you're including that. Please do not hesitate to contact me. So thank you.
Thanks, Shenda. So just have a look at Confined Spaces for a second. Now we've shortened the registration for the 6160 Confined Spaces qualifications to 12 months. And this was a request from centres and candidates that they thought that 36 months was too long to, to register to redo their qualification, keep themselves compliant and keep their competency card. So I'm just checking that everybody's finding that okay and it's working. I appreciate, I think the 616006 to level 4, and I can see Nigel's on the call. That is the biggest of the CPD qualifications. I think it's around 47 GLH, around 70 plus total qualification hours. So any feedback on that would be greatly appreciated. My email is in the chat, mike.nightingale@sittingguilds.com, so you can let me know how that's going. Next slide then, Rob, please. Water network. So we are just sort of in the stage of scoping this out and gathering sector intelligence for the water network construction operative. So very similar to the gas, there'll be a main layer, a service layer. There's a lot of similarities with this and the gas network operative. Again, I'm looking for employers, centres that represent employers who could come.
I don't think there's any staples left in me yet.
Somebody's not on mute, I think. That could support us, obviously, to make sure that we get all the right sector insight and information that we need to build this qualification. So again, my email address is in the chat. Just drop me a line if you feel that you can support with that. So just building on, again, what Rashenda alluded to earlier, we're looking for all sorts of people to support these qualifications. So I'm going to be building employer industry boards. And again, that can be employers or stroke centres that represent employers across all of the utility quals that we offer. So gas, confined spaces, streetworks, winter services, to join a board and give us, honest sector information that we wouldn't get anywhere else apart from the sector. Just again, so that we are aware of what's coming, whether it's changing legislation, equipment, processes, and we can make sure that the right things then get built into the new qualifications. We also we're always looking for associates for all sorts of different roles to help out with creating content, assessment. We need people to review information when it's being built to make sure that it's correct. And also, as I say, they're development consultants, subject matter experts to help us put the right information and assessment methodology together. So if you know anybody who's interested or might be interested in that, or you're interested yourself, again, you can drop me an email. I've also put in the chat there a link to the Sitting Guilds website that talks all about getting involved with qualifications, how to get involved. So there's information on the Sitting Guilds website. But if you want to know anything more specific, or you want a 5-minute chat on Teams, drop me a line and I can get back to you. We'll hook that call up. Next one, Rob. I think that's maybe the last one for me. So I say, just to reinforce, really, we need employers, we need centres, providers to work with us to make sure we get that industry expertise. We can review any content that we develop, make sure it's fit for purpose, map it against the skills, behaviours and standards that are in the latest apprenticeship standards, and also what employers are looking for in their existing and future workforce. And also making sure that we get the right assessment approaches for that qualification and for that industry. That's it from me.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
So the focus of these meetings is just what we've done, really, a very brief update from City and Guilds to try and update you where we are with utilities. We were mindful that centres have not had a lot of contact directly with City and Guilds in the past, as much as we probably have liked. So we're just trying to rectify that basically by opening up these centre networks. They have been really popular. As I said, there were 50 signed up to this one. a lot will listen to the recording. You know, we haven't got 50 on the call today. That's the norm. That's why we recorded the session, so we can follow up with that. So we will be following up with presentation, recording, and picking up any questions with regards to what is in the chat. So I'll pick up a couple of those now. So we're going to open this up now. So if you want to drop anything in the chat, or feel free to stick your hand up, put your camera on, you know, we're open to have a chat. Any questions, feedback, anything you like, we'll start and pick that up. So Yvonne's asked, is there any progress on questions, queries raised at the last meeting? If that's relating to the feedback on the questions on Streetworks, Yvonne, I don't know if you caught the start of the session. We did feed that back. Hawk did acknowledge that there was some amendments required with regards to some of the questions. That has been picked up and they have now been amended. So they have to go back into Hawk and their quality group for discussion. That happened at just after the last Hawk meeting. They then got amended. The questions then come back to us. We put them in our formatting and then we upload them into our Evolve platform. So the queries raised at the last meeting, if that's relating to the Streetworks issues with the questions, yes, they have. I don't think they didn't. Nothing was not agreed. So everything which was proposed was updated. Unfortunately, with us being in certain aspects customer facing, I don't get to see what those changes is. Neither do any of the team, because of the confidentiality. But they have been amended. So any other queries, feel free to drop them in the chat. The water one is of real interest to us, the water network one. Obviously, that's not just a new qualification for a city and guilds, that's a new sector. So if we've got any centres on the call what are delivering water network or gas network and thinking of delivering water network, or have got the speciality, have delivered that in the past, etc., feel free to drop your contact details in the chat and we'll pick that up with you. With regards to, it doesn't have to necessarily be consultancy. We've spoke to some centres in the past who just want to be kept up to date and give us their input. They don't want to really write the qual and they don't really want to be involved in question writing and things like that, but they want to give feedback on structure and content and things like that. And Rishenda's doing some great work at the moment where we don't just sort of just redevelop now. We scope out with customers, we scope out with employers, hence the shout out for any employer contacts as well. And then we have to validate that before we develop. So it's a slightly longer process potentially, but hopefully what comes out of the other end is a lot more fit for purpose. So we'll be running validation meetings, scoping meetings, things like that, which don't usually take too long people's time. Anybody wants to be interested, feel free to give us a shout. We are looking to set up a Confined Spaces face-to-face CPD event stroke network. We're in the early stages of scoping that out and what that's going to look like at the moment, but we have got to hold the date of 25th of November. I can't give any more detail on that at the moment. Obviously, it's quite a way off and we've potentially got other priorities we need to sort before that, but it's something we want to try and do more of. This sort of customer contact, whether it be face-to-face or online centre networks, quick update. We're looking to do this sort of every 10 to 12 weeks online. And then we're more than open to set up some face-to-face or specific focus groups, if need be, for specific qualification areas, utilities qualification areas. So that's something we're more than happy to do. So I think we've picked up stuff from the chat at the moment. Anything else anybody wants to raise? We're not going to extend these any longer than they need to be. We want to make sure that everybody's questions are answered without taking up time unnecessarily. Just picking up on something in the chat. Great stuff. We'll pick that up regarding winter services. Feel free, our emails are on the presentation, and Rashenda's just responded, yes, please. So if you could, please send those over, Yvonne. It's really timely, that, to be fair, because as Rashenda said, we're just really kicking off with development. We've done a lot of the scoping now and things like that. It's sort of all good to go now. We want to crack on with development, and we want to try and support that development as much as possible to get it out there for the autumn, because we're mindful that's a crucial time for that period, and to be set up ready to assess when winter months come. So that'd be appreciated. Any other business from anybody before we close? We'll give it a minute or two before we sort of close the meeting. Can't see anything in the chat. Well, we'll keep this rolling on, as I said, about 10 to 12 weeks time. Hopefully it's that sort of 3-month period, gives the cycle of qualification development a little bit of time to progress. Otherwise, there might not be too much to update you on, but hopefully we'll see progression in a lot of these product developments over time, and we'll be able to keep you in the loop, ready for launch of some nice shiny new products. So any further information, don't hesitate to drop us an email outside this meeting and we can pick that up. If there's nothing else, I can't see anything in the chat again. I'll just say thanks for your time this afternoon then, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.